Kia Pruitt. I hope everybody's doing well. This is Monday, March the 9th, 2026, and I'm not sure about the time. I'm thinking it's around noon or 1 o'clock p.m. Let me see if I can find out what time it is. It is 1:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please check in and let me know if you can hear me, because I just wanted to come quickly to tell you that the fake reality that the people in power created was fantastic. It was theatrical. It was amazing. But this matrix in which we've been living really is like a real life Truman Show. The more I dig into what has been going on and all the things that the people in power have done and displayed, the 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 movies that they've displayed, the television productions as it relates to court television, alleged things happening in the court systems. I think about the cartoons and how evil the cartoons were. And when you do investigations, you could see that they were actually seeding into the consciousness of our children. Lewd, lascivious behavior. They were seeding to the consciousness of our children. Sex before they were even ready. You think about how Disney had phalluses in the cartoons and women's tatas in the cartoons and voluptuous women and things relating to relationships, adult relationships and sex in the cartoons. The movies were full of violence and very deeply emotional scenes where people are crying. They have explosions and people being unalived and people passing away in the movies. So I'm just thinking about how in the Matrix you had all these movies that had us on edge. And I'm so grateful that my mom would not allow us to watch television as I was growing up. I briefly spoke on this yesterday, how I grew up in my formidable years, or is it formative years, but like 1 to 6, 7, like that. 6, 7, 6, I said 6, 7 kids. In the Nation of Islam. In the Nation of Islam, we were very disciplined and we didn't watch television. We read a lot of books, dictionaries, encyclopedias, newspapers, and we had to write essays. Please let me know if you can hear me. We had to write essays for my mother. That's how we were raised. But she didn't allow us to watch television, and I'm so grateful. However, on the weekends, and then when I did spend time with my grandma, my paternal grandma also raised us. Sometimes we were allowed to watch cartoons. I see you all. And let me know if you can hear me. Oh, you can. So we were allowed to watch cartoons, but because my mom had raised us without television, I didn't really watch cartoons. They'd be on and I'd be bored and I would go play. But as I got older and I started watching cartoons, as the children got older, because I raised my children without a television, but you still go places and you see a television. And then I remember there was a time I tried to get a television. I thought I could monitor it. I couldn't, so I threw it out. But anyway, I started noticing all these programming in the cartoons, in the movies, and the commercials. And I thought to myself, oh my God, it didn't sit right with me because I didn't grow up with it. So because my mom didn't raise me around certain things, I couldn't understand it. But as I got older, and I also studied psychology and education, before I got into economics and finances, and I was like, oh my God, they are really trying to damage our babies. So the media kept us on edge, kept us crying, kept us vibrating on a low frequency, kept us fixated on our sacral chakra, on survival. You always saw movies of people, especially when so-called black movies, people fighting and, barely can make it and on welfare and in the projects and unaliving each other, and the men selling drugs and having all these women and, when you think of blaxploitation movies, they had the pimps and how they were hustling drugs and hustling women. And then the women were always crying and upset because Papa was a Rolling Stone. He never came home and he always cheating. And the kids were always growing up on these movies without parents. And I'm so grateful I didn't even know that till I became an adult. I was like, this is what the other generations were watching. This is what my generation grew up to, because I didn't know growing up without television. But I still was affected by what other people watched. Because even when I got married, my husband couldn't understand. And I was 18 when I got married to your granddaddy. Yeah, well, that was young. So he couldn't understand, why do you don't watch TV? The people in the church didn't understand why you didn't watch TV. And so they were still, this girl got some beautiful sister locks. Hold on. Yes, ma'am. Your locks are the bomb. You're welcome. I'm sorry, y'all. So people couldn't understand why I wouldn't watch TV. It was just because I didn't grow up with it, but I was still affected by it, because the people around me who were inundated with sex were, trying to taunt me or touch me in school, or, my family members. I had great family members. I had a wonderful husband. He just couldn't understand why I wouldn't go to the movies. But my point is, the television family, the programming, was to keep us on edge and to keep us in survival mode and to make us think that was normal. And a lot of the young men growing up they thought it was normal to play women and to mess around with women. They thought it was normal, in some communities, honestly, to unalive people and to join gangs and be a part of the underground economy, because that's what they saw. And television will try to tell you that television or entertainment mimics reality, but I venture to say that actually reality mimics television. Reality mimics the programming in a lot of ways. It could be both, but the cartoons, commercials, the news, court TV, all of it was fake. It was either fake or constructed, but the purpose was to keep us on edge, to keep us living a reality that they wanted us to live. Just like the movie The Truman Show. I was grateful that my husband was like, you're going to have to see this one. I saw The Truman Show, and I'm so glad. This was years ago, soon after it came out, where they create a reality for you, the reality they want you to live. Now that leads me into another reality, not just survival mode, not just focusing on your sacral chakra, sex all the time, and sex instead of family, sex instead of community building, sex instead of leaving a legacy. This is what they taught us. On top of that, in the schools, they forced down our throats racism, discrimination, critical race theory. And the white people hate you. The white people are against you, right? And and if you classified as white, your grandparents enslaved black folk. And so you got some people feeling guilty because their skin is lighter complexion, and other people feeling angry because their skin is brown complexion. The narratives they fed us was to keep us on edge. And then think about the school programming that taught us that HIV and all these other sexually transmitted diseases came from brown folk mating with monkeys, such as HIV, AIDS, and all these other things. They did everything they could to cause division, confusion, and destruction. Let me say division, confusion, chaos, and destruction. Am I gay? That's funny. I'm happy if that's what you mean. So I'm sorry, I was answering somebody in the comments. I guess you were talking to me. I don't know. That was funny. But no, I don't think I'm gay, because that's a fine brother just walked past. I ain't gay, trust that. But anyway, I digress. They kept us operating at our sacral chakra so we can be confused, but also so that we can emit a psychic energy that they absorb, these beings in power. And that psychic energy is called loosh. Whenever you're frustrated, angry, hurt, crying because of anything you're going through, you're watching on TV, you're going to emit loosh. That's the food of these beings that enslave the planet. They absorb that energy. And as long as we were vibrating on those frequencies, we would continue to create more experiences that will put us in that place, because whatever you think about and focus on magnifies. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you start hearing all through school, white people hate you, and all you see is slavery movies on TV and Hollywood movies. 1 year, I'm a slave, 100 years a slave, Massa don't love me no more. All these slavery movies, then you start perpetuating experiences that make you angry and feel like you're a slave. I'm not discounting any type of ism, racism, sexism. I'm not saying that never occurred. I'm saying you will expand that and create more experience. We will. And if you are of European descent, then you will or may feel like, oh my God, I have to feel guilty all the time. I got to walk around with my head hang down because of the mainstream media saying that I'm bad. My family was bad, even though I may not have owned any slaves. You see what they did to us and caused all this fighting between us? So it's important to unplug from the matrix, because the people in power have done a number on us. And honestly, in 2026, we are tired. We are exhausted. No more. We're tired. We're so tired that we're exposing what they did to us. Case in point, Court TV. Hopefully you saw the video that I put out before I did this live. Court TV lied to us. It is a mainstream media production. So when you talk about Court TV, you're talking about all these so-called divorces that are on TV and they're hearing these cases. Well, a lot of those judges they're fake. They haven't gotten any law degrees. And even if they did, it doesn't mean that they didn't sell their soul to work out for Hollywood, right? So the Court TV allegedly seeded racism and anger and division in our consciousness in their court cases, such as cases against Michael Jackson, according to the video I showed you earlier. That case, allegedly, some of it, if not all of it, was filled with actors to make people angry. What else? O.J. Simpson, that was fake. Many of us woke up years ago when we saw that Nicole Brown Simpson really hadn't died. That lady, that reporter named Megan somebody, I can't think of her last name. One day I was in a grocery store and I was shopping. This was probably like almost 20 years after the O.J. Simpson case. O.J. Simpson case was in the 90s. No, this was probably like maybe 2010. And I saw Megyn Kelly. Thank you, Megyn Kelly. I meant when you're happy, bad things happen. But when you're down, easier to find pleasure. Absolutely. So I saw Megyn Kelly in a magazine. I was like, that's Nicole Brown Simpson. Oh my God. And then I started getting on research, because I think back then we had computers. Internet was just now becoming widely popular. So I looked up Nicole Brown Simpson. I was like, that woman never died. That woman never died. The O.J. Simpson case, Nicole Brown Simpson case was fake. And if you do the digging and the research and you start really listening to things, you realize it was fake. O.J. Simpson, the Michael Jackson case was allegedly fake. What else? Rodney King, that case was fake. And if it weren't fake, it was highly sensationalized. And what else? A few years ago, some of my friends and I were doing digging. We were reporting on Facebook, because Facebook was widely popular, like about 2008, 2009. So we started reporting things that made us that made us question. And then came Sandra Bland later on, Michael Brown, all these different people. But Sandra Bland, I was like, I don't know if that case was even real. You know why? Because there's a very popular person who was a YouTuber that became popular, and now she has other products out that was popular. And I was like, they look alike. So I was reporting this on Facebook, and somebody was like, now that you brought it up to our attention, the person you're talking about does favor Sandra Bland, especially when she was younger. So we put pictures up together. They look just alike. And I was like, oh my God, a lot of these popular YouTubers and a lot of social media folk and people that come up through the ranks through social media, and all of a sudden they start doing Hollywood movies and commercials, and now they got a brand, a seasoning brand, a cookbook, and all this stuff. A lot of them look like they started from nowhere, but when you really dig into their stories, they'll say stuff like, I always wanted to be an actor. And then after they sell us their products and we forget about the character they may have allegedly played, like Sandra Bland, then you start to really see the similarities, that they came from their hometown is the same place as Sandra Bland. Think of Chicago. Bland is the seasoning, just like you start putting things together, just like some of the other things she done. Now this woman is she's got movies out, and she's on certain people's platforms talking, but I just started from nowhere and I just always wanted to be an actress. And they're like, oh, wow, and you just came up through social media and you start selling your cookbooks and your seasoning. And now all of a sudden you're amazing. You're a superstar. No. A lot of these people are part of Hollywood. What's your point, Pruitt? My point is they will stage being unalived by the cops, sensationalize the story. Then the same people in power will fund Antifa and Black Lives Matter, tell everybody to take to the streets and fight and protest and argue and cry and scream so that you can emit loosh. So that's the energy they absorb, and so that we can take our minds off what's really important: family, community, accumulating wealth for our family, protecting our wealth, and living healthy, wealthy lives the way God or source or creator and our ancestors intended it. So Court TV is fake. A lot of those cases are fake. Why? Because they wanted us to be perpetually chaotic, and they wanted to pit us against each other so that we can be fighting each other in order for us to be more easily controlled. So they got fake television productions. They got fake soil, fake food, fake people. Fake what?
Grass.
Fake grass. Thank you, Cherish me more. Fake grass.
Trees.
Fake trees. And as a matter of fact, speaking of trees, we just came from the farmer's market.
Can't help one. Is there stuff in there?
No, there's nothing in there. We just came from the farmer's market, and one of the ladies who grows her food was telling me that she has to raise her bed as she's growing food. And I was like, why? Well, the soil has been so contaminated. There are other reasons, that she chose to do that, but the soil is contaminated, so she had to do raised beds and put healthy soil in the raised beds to grow her food. And then she said, and I also have to put shade over my plants. I was like, why? She said, because they'll get scorched by the sun. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. Like God has the sun nature so that it can shine on the food to make the food healthy and grow. And she said, well, but in nature you have trees, and they've cut down all the trees. I was like, oh my God. They cut down the trees, and some of the trees that they planted are fake. And some of the trees, according to a physician that I had to see when I got severely ill last month, they're planting trees that we are allergic to. That she said your system can't handle. People's bodies and immune system cannot handle the trees and whatever chemicals they're emitting. It's not natural to the environment. So they cut down all the trees. So now you got to cover your plants when you grow them. And then the ones they plant, a lot of them are unhealthy. And then some of the plants that they plant are male plants. So they're shooting out, what do you call it, Rod? Is it seeds? What is it when a male tree or plant shoots stuff out? Is that the seed?
I think so.
Or is it pollen? So when these plants shoot out pollen or whatever the male shoots out, there are no female trees to catch it. So that's why allergies are prevalent now, asthma. It's a whole fake reality that the sun emits rays that are not as natural to us sometimes. They spray the skies, they poison the soil, they poison our minds through their educational system or through the schools. I'm not trying to speak badly about it. I'm just telling you. Through the movies, through the political rhetoric. But you know what? All that is coming crashing down. The children want to say hi.
Hi. Don't go to school.
You're here. It's good to see you. All that, you have trees in your area and you notice they always attract pests. Wow. All that is coming to a halt. We've entered a new reality where this information that they kept from us, that they were lying to us, is exposed now. It's being spread too. So they're home because I took them out of school. How do y'all feel being out of school?
I feel friends.
My granddaughter misses her friends. How do you feel, Ra? Come to the camera.
Infinitely better than I was in school.
Do you miss your friends?
No.
Okay, explain why you feel infinitely better.
No bad energy.
Get in the camera. Say hi, I'm Amin Ra.
Hi.
I'm
Amin Ra.
And explain how you feel.
And when I'm at school, I feel better at home because at school they always yell at us, and at school they feed the children bad food, and they what is it again?
What?
Make us do homework.
Well, that's not bad.
Even though you have work you can already do at home.
And plus,
what about the energy? You just said something about energy a few minutes ago.
The energy.
What's wrong with the energy?
It's horrible.
What does that mean?
they be talking.
They have low energy. They have low vibrational.
And then you were telling me something about how the teachers treat the children.
Yes, they be yelling at us, being mean to us. Even when we're quiet, they be like, "Be quiet." And I'm like, "I didn't do anything." And they keep telling us that we gotta finish the work before we go home. And I don't want to finish no work before I go home.
And what else? Right. And my grandson was always getting sick. He's a vegan, so we were thinking his immune system would be able to handle whatever he's around, but he was getting sick all the time. And so he told me once, he was like, it's not just the fact that I'm around so many people and the germs. He said it's their energy. And I was like, oh my God, he's 8. He's like, I cannot deal with the energy, Granny. It's too much. So it's the energy, it's the foods. They said he's a vegan, so his mom would send him food or pack the lunch, but he would watch his friends eat a lot of junk. And then the foods that are in our schools and in the prisons are actually funded by, it's the same thing, and it's funded by and dispersed by the Department of Defense. That should tell us something.
I don't like how some schools look like a prison.
Say it again.
I don't like how some schools look like a prison because it's going to actually be a prison once you get in there.
Yeah.
One step you walk in there, you're in prison. It's like you've been behind bars your whole life.
Really?
And
Yes, ma'am.
you only get 2 days with your family and you stay there for like 7 hours.
Stay where for 7 hours?
School.
What did you say the acronym for school was?
6 cruel hours of our lives. All of our lives.
SCHOOL. They came up with that. 6 cruel hours of our lives.
We didn't come out
6.
with that.
Who came up with it?
YouTube.
Oh, YouTube came up with. Some people on YouTube. Oh, I didn't know that the kids on YouTube said that. 6 cruel hours of our lives. So the programming sometimes is too much. The energy is too much. The information is too much. And even when you think about the propaganda in the schools, because one day I didn't get something that I wanted. Y'all be quiet. Let me talk for a minute. And my granddaughter was like, well, is it because you're black? And I was like, what?
I say that.
You did.
I did.
Hold on. As you don't remember, let me tell you how I said, because you said they probably didn't give it to you, the house, because you were black. And I said, where'd you learn that from? And you said
School.
See, she said school.
They showed us a video.
Come here. They showed you a video.
Of Martin Luther King.
Say it again, Daddy.
they showed us a video about Martin Luther King, and so two kids, one was brown and
Make it
one was
fast.
white,
Mhm.
and they went time travel to see Michael.
That's his real
Martin
name. His real
Luther King.
name is Michael, but go ahead.
And so mom came, she was not brown, and she said, children, don't play with them black people. And she said to the other friend, and she said, you shouldn't be playing with the brown kids. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. So I told my granddaughter, I was like, no, it's not because I'm black or brown or in. I said, first of all, we call ourselves, the kids say copper color, but I said we're indigenous, but it's not because of that. And I said, and even if it were, I'm not going to automatically assume that. What I'm going to do is say maybe I didn't qualify or do the best I can to qualify, or maybe that just wasn't for me. And then she was like, I don't know why else you wouldn't have gotten what you wanted. But here's the thing, the fact that was her first thought was maybe you didn't get what you wanted was because of the color of your skin is not a reality that I want her to live in. It's just, and as her grandmother, her great mother, Big Mama, their parents' mother, I have the authority to teach them about the reality that I'm creating and that I desire for them to create. So I don't want them learning about racism and critical race theory. And I don't want them to think just because you didn't get what you wanted, it means your skin color is a certain way or because your gender is a certain thing. No, let's accept, okay, maybe it just wasn't for you, or, people have a right to deny you. We think we're supposed to have everything we want. People have a right to say you can have this or not. It's theirs. You know what I'm saying? So I chose early on, even though I know some people have bad ideologies and philosophies and do bad things, I chose early on to see humans as inherently good. I learned that in college when I started out my psychology program. Dr. Jerry Walk, I will never forget him. He was my psychology 101 teacher. I was probably like 18 or 19. He said, you have a choice as a psychologist and a human being. Okay, as a psychologist, you are studying human behavior and you're going to learn to help people that have certain issues or problems. You can choose two ways to look at things. You can either choose to believe that humans are inherently good, and that will frame and inform the way you counsel people, or you can choose to believe that humans are inherently bad, and that also will inform and help you in the way you work with people to cope or deal with their issues. And I chose to believe and know that humans are inherently good. And by doing that, what I did was I seeded my consciousness with a positive mentality, an abundance mentality, and it enabled me sometimes to overlook certain things that probably might have been bad or mean. But I chose to look at it from another perspective. Like, okay, they're inherently good. Maybe there's something maybe this just wasn't right for me, or maybe there's something I could do to qualify me for something better, something else, or maybe even for that same thing. But for that to have been the first thing my 9-year-old granddaughter said to me was, it's because you're black. It hurt my soul, because that's not the reality in which I live, and that's not what I desire for them. So I said, you know what? It's time. This was like months ago. It's time for y'all to come out of school. And I have done this before, years ago, where I took them out. And I'm grateful that I have children that just follow my lead. And I was like, no, you're not learning that, because you have friends and people and family members, from all different cultures. And I don't want you to just automatically assume that people are going to treat you badly because your skin is brown. Now, we know that racism exists, sexism, ageism, all this stuff, where all sides we all have our prejudices and our things that we desire. Right. But I didn't want them to learn that. So my point is, learning certain things in school, although I appreciate the reading, writing, arithmetic, and even the daycare service that they provide, some of the things was just too much for their little minds, and it was too much for me. So you got some of those things, and people that the government and people in power put into their curriculum in schools, permeating their consciousness. Just like as adults, we have social media permeating our consciousness. We have mainstream media permeating our consciousness with propaganda. We have political officials. They're all telling us, and saying I used a lot of my data, whatever it is they desire for us to know. But we're waking up and we're saying no more. My desire is for us to stay grounded, create a vision and a mission for yourself and your family, and stay focused. Why are you here? What is your purpose? And stay focused on realizing and living out that purpose. What is the purpose of your family? State it, write it down. Everybody in the family should know your purpose or your mission statement. Why are you here? This is what we're here to do. And have family meetings. Make sure everybody's living up to that mission, and make sure everybody, all their activities, their thoughts, their behavior should align with that mission or that purpose, and have a vision. What is the future? Like I said in the podcast with Dex Lattimore the other day, some families that are farming families might say things like, we will be, that's futuristic, that's the vision. We will be the prevailing family that provides the best foods for our community. That vision statement about what you will be in the future will inform how you behave and will help guide all your activities. When you know the vision of your family, we will be the prevailing farm or farmers market, a prevailing market that will provide food for our community for the next 50 through 100 years, something like that. That will keep you focused. What else that's the vision, futuristic. What's your mission? What right now? What are you here for? Our family is here to serve humanity by providing the best organic food, something like that. That's the family, why we're here, the purpose, the mission. This is what we're here to do. And in the future, we'll be the prevailing family, something like that. The predominant family to provide the most fresh foods for our community, something like that. You need that for your family, and you need a mission statement for yourself. Why are you here? I'm here to raise the vibrations of the planet. I'm here to instruct humanity how to have family, wealth, and legacy. Everything, just about everything I do, I try to make sure everything I do aligns with that vision. Even the things that I eat. If I'm here to raise the vibrations of the planet, I shouldn't be eating low vibrational foods. And if I find myself doing that, I have to curtail it because it has to align with my vision, why I'm here on this, mission, why I'm here on this planet. I'm coming, babies. You see, my thoughts must align with it. So if you have a mission and a vision statement for yourself and your family, it will keep you focused and us focused. And we will do an amazing job to strengthen and help humanity to thrive. But now it's all crashing down. Our eyes are awake. The Truman Show can no longer go on. We know they lied about the foods. We know they lied about the water. We know they lied about the chemtrails, all of that. They say it was that they weren't doing it. They are. We know it now. They lied about all this, the things they showed us on TV. Anytime something's sensationalized on social media and TV is probably contrived. They hire crisis actors and they pay them. And a lot of these crisis actors go on to be social media stars, and then they go on to Hollywood because that is their rite of passage. Sandra Bland, I don't know if she's real or not, but there is an actress that has come out that some people say looks a lot like her. Now, I'm just saying allegedly because I don't know. But we do know that court TV lies, that mainstream media lies, that social media lies. And even if these events were real, they get us so caught up in our emotions that we lose focus on what our vision and our mission is for ourselves and our families and our communities. And so when we lose focus, then our communities become chaotic and disorganized. Our families become chaotic and disorganized. Our mind, we become chaotic and disorganized, and these people in power run roughshod, but their time is up. The matrix is collapsing. The veil has been lifted. The curtain has been pulled like the Wizard of Oz, and we see them. And we're no longer going to stand for all the things that they've done against us. And finally, I told you I'm writing a book. So I'm writing one of the books I'm talking about how to protect your assets. One of the chapters. And so as I'm speaking to my colleagues, about this, I was informed that I have to be careful how I state certain things, because I'm talking about non-conventional ways of protecting your assets. No, you don't have to have a lot of wealth. Your assets, your furniture that you want to pass down to your children, your clothes, your jewelry, even if it's not so-called real jewelry, it's a part of your estate, your land, your home, whatever you have that you want to pass. Books, I have books I'm passing down to my grandchildren. My coin collection, and I don't even have a lot, I'm passing it down. Cars, I'm passing it down. Clothes, things that belong to my great grandmother, I'm passing it down because it's valuable to me. But I was informed that I have to be careful how I articulate in my book how families, alternative ways you can protect your assets that are outside of the norm, like outside of wills. Yes, I'm all about wills, but I talk about trust and different types of trust. Well, I was informed you have to be careful what type of trust, or even if you mention trust that most people don't use, you have to frame it in a way where you won't incite or anger financial advisors who don't teach this and attorneys who could sue you. This is how programmed we have become, where some of the people who have positions will come and sue you because if you're teaching the human race to do something alternatively that's lawful, that will protect their assets, you can be sued by people in financial industries, allegedly. This is what the people told me. And I fact checked it. I don't know how true it is through AI. And it was like, yes, you have to be careful. Make sure the words you say, still you can maintain your authority, your authoritative voice. You can maintain your academic perspective, because I am an academician. But you want to be careful that you don't get sued by lawyers and financial experts. And I thought, wow. So a lot of financial experts have been advising us the best way they know how, because this is the way they were taught and trained. They didn't necessarily tell people to get gold and silver. Now that we know, and we've been pushing gold and silver, a lot of conservatives, a lot of everyday people been getting on because we learn from each other and we learn from our ancestral memories. I talk about my great grandfather, how he had silver. And we weren't able to, I never had it because it was spent before it got to me. But now that we're talking about it, now people are talking about it, but you still even have to be careful now how you frame it. When I first started talking about us returning to the gold standard, I was cautioned. So you can't talk about the gold standard because the powers that be said we're not on the gold standard because gold is a relic. And I kept getting pushback. And my channels got taken down. And my money got taken. The little money I was making, it was a lot to me. It was a little, really wasn't a lot. But YouTube took my channels down. They took my money and didn't return it. And then I was advised, and even when I would talk to financial people, even people in the gold space, they were like, no, we're not moving to the gold standard. I was like, why do y'all keep saying that? It was obvious to me under Trump's first administration, we were moving to the gold standard. It only made sense. You came off the gold standard. Why wouldn't you put it back on? Because the system, the fiat-based system, is not sustainable. But I wasn't allowed to say it before the system said it was allowable. You see, I could have been sued, but instead of suing me, they just took away my money. They just took away my way of earning, and that didn't pay it back either. But you know what? I said, I'm not going to cry, and I did cry for a little bit, but I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to say, poor me. I'm just going to have to pivot. As my son, Dex Lattimore, who's an economist, said, Mom, learn to pivot. You always have to be prepared to pivot, to move from one thing to another, to evolve. Okay, so I had to learn to pivot, but my point is, I now understand and understand why people are very strategic about their words. strategic about their lessons, strategic about what they do, because we could have been sued. So the powers that were, the powers that be, they had all the control of the power, the information, and even people who were in the gold space, they only sold to each other because most of us didn't know about it, and for whatever other reasons. They used to just sell to each other, but maybe they weren't allowed to get out and talk loudly like I do. So I was even like, maybe I need to, not that I need to pull back, but I was like, you don't want to lose people and sound, this is what my colleagues were, you don't want to sound too conspiratorial because you could lose people. So my point is, the powers that were even made us curtail our language and curtail helping each other, or they tried to force us to, because, you ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, because if you didn't pull back, they could sue you. So I had to, I'm talking to my colleagues, like, there are certain things I want to get out. I will be mindful on the way I say it, but my God, in about 2 years, everybody's going to be talking like, the people in power are going to be talking like this. But they want to control the narrative, and they want to control when information can get out. So even talking about trust and how to protect your assets, I was informed that I have to be careful. But I might be mindful of how I said, but I'm still going to tell you the ways that you can protect your assets outside of conventional ways. And I have to protect myself by making sure I have some type of representation around me that will protect me, and run my work, my book, through people who can, look at things and make sure it passes what, whoever's going to publish the book. I'll probably self-publish it. But the matrix is collapsing, family. And as such, we have to create the reality that we desire. We have to stay focused. We have to have a mission and a vision statement for ourselves. Not just a statement, but a mission and a vision, a purpose for ourselves and our families, because we're going to be the ones that build up our community and build up our societies. As Dex Lattimore always says, a strong, healthy society is built on strong, healthy communities. Strong, healthy communities are comprised of strong, healthy families. Strong, healthy families start with you and me. Yes, I have to be balanced. The truth hurts, right? But hold physical metals, as somebody said, hold it. You can go to your local coin dealer, family, or you can go to my affiliate, Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. Their number is 952-929-7006, or send an email to info@milesfranklin.com and let them know that you heard about their company from Dr. Kia Pruitt, so you can get the best prices in the industry. All right, family, I have to go. My grandchildren are saying they're tired. They just had lunch. They got to use the bathroom. So I love you. I appreciate your time, your effort, and your energy, everything you all do for me. Just being here as part of my community and my family, I appreciate. Say bye, family, children.
Bye. Bye.
Anything else?
And don't be mean.
Any final words?
Granny, you want to tell them about when I saw 3 boys?
Keep your vibrations up.
What? Go ahead.
And they flew away.
Oh, no, I told him already. Ross, what'd you say?
Keep your vibrations up.
Keep your vibrations up. Any final words?
Get a trust.
Get a trust? Okay. So I'm teaching them about assets and asset protection. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. Thank you all for joining me. I hope I said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing life that you desire and deserve. My final thoughts are: have a mission statement and a vision statement for yourself and your family. Because if you don't have a mission, if you don't have a purpose and you don't have a vision, somebody else will have one for you, and they'll have you building up their foundation and building up their empire because you don't have one for yourself. Peace out, family. I love you so much. Stay grounded. Keep your energies and vibrations high. Keep your eyes on the prize. What's the prize? Somebody asked me on one of my podcasts, what is the prize? What is the prize? What are you trying to steer people? The prize is whatever you created for yourself, your own personal mission and vision, okay? Because the people in power, they don't want to lose grip. They might try to stage things, but when you're grounded and you remember your mission and your purpose, your vision, you will stay focused and you won't be shaken. All right, family, I love you. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
Bye. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.